Today on the Green Pill Weekly, Andy and I discuss agritourism, and we watched an interview done with Jeff Bednar. Next, Brandon gives us a book review. Then, Rikki takes us to her urban garden and talks about raised garden beds. Finally, a little tough love with Nick.
So my friend Brandon at Bootstrap Farmer says that farm fusion is when you meld two industries together, farming and something else. And I really like that description. I think it's really fitting. So for us, farm fusion is looking at the tourism and doing agritourism and actually bringing our customers and people out to the farm and giving them the experience of connecting with their food and seeing how things are growing, showing them a little glimpse of what the future is going to look like from our eyes and what we believe is going to happen. I love the farm fusion aspects and the people that are doing value-added goods. They're making pestos out of the things you're growing, I think is great, and then selling that as a $12 item instead of a $3 item. I think you're bringing in the kitchen side and agriculture together. And there's so many different opportunities, like doing conferences and bringing in education. And it's really it's kind of a nonstop opportunity of.
Boy, is it? It's the whole idea of farm fusion is just people have been doing this. It's just to put a name to it. It's very fitting.
Mm-hmm.
I love the agritourism model. That's a great way to get people involved. They feel more involved with their food, mm-hmm. even if it's just a visit. Some folks, I've even seen out on weeds or
mm-hmm.
Helping round up sheep or get eggs together. Just depends on how involved they want it to be, really.
Mm-hmm. It can mean big business too. I mean, you can have so much extra revenue from doing farm tours, doing classes, even if it's just showing people how to grow microgreens or
overnight stays. There's places that have full lodging and the whole 9
mm-hmm.
yards.
Invest in a yurt.
There's a lot of different possibilities mm-hmm. there. That's the sky's the limit with the tourism bit.
Definitely. But one thing that we found, I was so hell-bent on this goat yoga. And now in retrospect, our goats are so naughty. Like, people would be like, I paid to get assaulted.
You have to be realistic in your expectations.
Yeah, I did not train these goats. It was not going to happen.
Well, some operations just don't, if you're real busy, you have a lot of employees around, a lot of hustle mm-hmm. and bustle, trucks coming and going. Maybe that's not, folks coming out isn't your version of the farm fusion. But, there's a lot of different ways to make that work, whether it's lodging, helping out on the farm, visiting, mm-hmm. Some of these activities folks would be interested to just see from afar.
Yeah, definitely. But I would highly, highly recommend getting possibly some paperwork together for liability. That's one thing. Yes. And I know you can actually go online and you can get into there's a site that actually you can do it with a lawyer. So it's really not that expensive when you think about how much it could actually cost you. But I'm really excited just giving our customers the experience that they can come out to our market at our greenhouse and we'll be selling plants. Mm-hmm. And then, they do have that option of, getting their berries and they're seeing all the animals. And we make a big deal of the fact that we are using our animal waste in with our compost and it's all this big ecosystem and there's symmetry there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's a good experience. The kids love it too.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just the kids.
Just being around life.
Yeah.
And I think, this was really common in a lot of the farm interviews that I did. People that are so happy growing just want to share it with people. Yeah. I don't know. Sweet.
All right, today's book review, I am doing Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. And this is actually a book that I read a couple of years ago at the perfect time. Every business owner, when you start, you're generally doing everything yourself. And as the business grows, it means you're doing more and more and more. And at that point, you sort of splinter off into two different paths. You either break down because your business is growing and you're still trying to do everything yourself, or you start building a team. I mean, it's one of the biggest jumps you have to make from being a solopreneur to an entrepreneur working on the business instead of in the business. And to me, this was the book that gave me the frameworks and the confidence to make that happen. It's really largely about systems design and how to get plates spinning so you're not always having to do everything yourself. And so just real quick, I'm going to just go through the chapters, mention them, and kind of give like the overall lesson, and it sort of hopefully give you a good reason to see whether this would be a good book for you or not. So the first chapter 1 is why your business is still stuck. So it's sort of relating the story of, are you in this position? Are you feel like you're treading water and not really getting growth? Are you not getting enough sleep? Is your lifestyle just completely out of whack because you haven't put in proper systems to maintain and grow your business? So it kind of starts out by identifying the problem. And then it says, chapter 2, analyze your company's time. And so that's kind of just documenting how your time is spent so you can take a look at it. I mean, we could all see a good practical reason to do that. So chapter 3, and this was awesome. I really like this. Declare your company's queen bee role. And he makes the metaphor of, a bee colony, and all of the bees work to protect the queen. And in your business, what is your queen bee role is basically saying, like, what is like the thing? Like, why do people interact with your business? Protect that one thing first, and everything will fall from there. So, for Bootstrap Farmer, it's really the customer experience. If we protect the customer experience, everything else falls into place, because the customer experience really involves so much. It's from the first interaction till after, not just when they put together whatever they got. It's after. Are things working well? If they have a follow-up question, are we responding? So that's how we choose to focus on that queen bee role of our company, and that was defined largely by reading this book. Next would be so to protect and serve the QBR. That's chapter 4, to learn how to protect and serve it. Chapter 5, which is step 4, and that's capture system. So, start collecting data on the changes that you're making so people can hold themselves accountable. Hopefully by this time your company is growing beyond you. So knowing how to keep other people accountable for the tasks that they've been given, that's sort of what that's talking about. And then chapter 6, balance the team. And this is basically saying, and it really informed how I look at, Bootstrap. For talented people, we rarely say no to someone super talented that comes to Bootstrap, because, we're a growing company and there's a lot of space for everybody, but that everybody has to be the right person. The right person is just so important, where we don't really look to just fill a role. We're looking to bring on the right person that can bring a whole lot to the table. So balancing the team, what that means to me is when you bring on super talented people that you haven't like saying, oh, we just need to fill this. When you bring on a talented person, you got to know what they're best at and know how to get the most out of them, in the sense that, like, you want them to be productive, you want them to be doing things that are going to benefit the company. And that's going to happen if they feel inspired, if they feel motivated. So how do you find out what they're most passionate about, combined with what your company needs, and putting that person in the best position to maximize their potential? So, we seem to like shift people around or kind of change duties, or, what we're really doing is fostering what we think that they're really enjoying, what they're really good at, and where that intersects with the needs of the company. So really like that. And I'll just run through the last couple here. Chapter 7 is know who you're serving, and that's sort of about your customer avatar, to know who you're talking to. Chapter 8 is keep an eye on your business. So in the sense that, you set up a lot of these things, it's, just kind of a keeping an eye on things and nipping things in the butt. And again, it's a continuation of balancing the team. Chapter 9 is pushback and what to do about it. It's when, having those difficult conversations with your team, and how to manage that, especially as your team grows, more and more things are going to come up. And, that the owner role, it's a lot of different jobs, and you have to manage a lot of different personalities. It's people's lives that, in a big way that we've taken a lot of responsibility for, because if we're employing them, we have a responsibility to listen and engage and to make sure that, everyone feels, on the same page. And chapter 10 is a 4-week vacation. So, it's kind of wrapping up the book and saying, if you put in all these systems into place, you should be able to take a 4-week vacation, because technically they shouldn't need you to operate the day-to-day decisions. Now, it's not saying a 6-month vacation, because, a company does need strategic vision and guidance and all that. But for a month, I really like this, because it gave me the goal if I disappeared for a month. And I did go on an overseas trip, which was a big reason of how I automated Bootstrap, to the sense that it didn't rely on me anymore. So Clockwork, Michael Michalowicz. I love Michael Michalowicz. In fact, I didn't buy his newest book because his other books helped me so much, where I just felt like I didn't even need that one. So sorry, Michael, but thank you at the same time. I recommend reading all of his books. The Pumpkin Plan as well is a great one. So yeah, that's the book review for today. Thanks.
What's up, guys? It's Sunday. It's the day after we put the beds together, and they look incredible. And I'm so excited because I have a lot more space to grow than I had anticipated. Cat distraction. So I'm super excited about that. So probably before the end of the month, I'll be able to get everything in its place, up, ready, filled with soil before spring. And I won't really be transplanting a ton of stuff out until like mid-March. So realistically, I only need to get a few beds done at a time to get ready for spring. And so it'll help break up some of that cost a little bit. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys where we're at and kind of my plan for the next weekend. It might be a little difficult to see. It's a little bright right now, but you'll see that I have 2 4x4 beds right down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take both of these out. This rooster really loves to make a cameo in my videos. I'm going to take both of these out and move one to the back behind that other 4x4 bed that you see, and take the other one and put it in some extra space I have over here. You can't see it. I'll show you an up-close shot. This damn rooster. And then I'm going to take this bed, which we originally weren't going to do anything with, and I'm going to put it right next to this 10x10 bed, or this 10x3.5 bed. I didn't think I was going to have space for it, so I'm so excited. I think my plan for that, oh my God, I think my plan for this longer bed that was here when we moved in is to do just like a zinnia patch with it, which I think would be super exciting.
These are all 2 inches deep. They're all the same size in terms of 10-20 tray size. The difference is each cell tray has a different number of cells. And the different number of cells indicate the different crops that you're going to put in them. All of these trays are 2.25 inches deep. They all fit into a 10-20 tray, either a reservoir tray without holes, a microgreens tray with holes, or a mesh tray. They're all 10-20s. The 200 cell tray is something you're going to use to start leafy greens, crops that are going to come out very quickly, lettuces, Swiss chard, kales, any of the leafy greens that are going to come right out and go straight into the ground. This is an efficient way to plant a lot of crops that are fast growing. The 128 cell tray, slightly larger, 128 cells, still a 10x20 tray, still 2.25 inches deep, less cells. You would plant virtually the same crops that you would in this one, but they're going to stay in the cell a little bit longer. So if you don't know exactly when you're going to put crops in the ground, this gives the plant a little bit longer time to stay in the cell tray. A little bit more root growth. Then you're going to go up to the 72 cell tray, which is quite a bit larger. Same size. This is going to be for early starts for cold crops that are going to be going in your ground a little bit later, or tomato starts or pepper starts that you do maybe in January that can't go into the garden for several more months. This is something it's nice to have because you can do a lot of plants. So if you don't have great germination, you've got a lot of choice. So if I did a whole tray of tomatoes, I'd have 72 tomato plants that I could choose from. I could pick the best ones to put them in my garden. So I did that in January, and they were ready to go in the ground April, May-ish in North Texas, that is. This would be fine. What I like to do is start my tomatoes and my peppers in something a little bit larger, because we start them in January, and then they stay in these pots for a long time before I either up pot them into a 4-inch pot and then hang on to those, or depending on when they start, and I can put them in the ground in April or May in North Texas, then the plant's large enough and healthy enough to survive on its own, where I can pull it out of this, put it straight in the ground. But they've been in this tray for several months. This tray could not hold plants for that long. The plants would get root bound and they wouldn't be healthy by the time you put them in the ground. So these are fast growing lots of plants, usually leafy greens. These are for a little bit more substantial plants: tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, okra, plants that need a head start. So they're all the same size, 10-20, they just have different amounts of cells. 200, 128, 72, 32. Extra strength cell trays from Bootstrap Farmer.
Behold unto you a 2021 calendar, which is a prediction into the future of events to come. I'm going to start out kind of with the first part of the year, which is April and May. I say that's the first because for a lot of folks, that's when the first markets are going to open up. And so I want to remind everybody that because you know that these dates are approaching and you've most likely got your market set as to when that's going to open and when your CSAs are going to be popping up, that you have 3 months now to tell your clients, we're ordering seeds. What would you like us to grow? Here's us planting. Here's the watering process. Here's how heat mats work. Here's us doing the transplants into the soil or into the high tunnel or into the NFT system. And you're explaining to them not only your process, but you're giving them a constant reminder as to farming is 365. Market day doesn't begin the work that you've done. Remind them of everything that you do as you're doing it in order for them to generate some excitement for that market day. Right after that, June and July, it's fixing to get hot. So April, May would be a good time to get that shade cloth ordered, to check your irrigation, make sure you don't have any leaks. If you need to replace any heads or set up whole new systems, do that before it's too late. Because come June and July, you're going to be busy harvesting. You're also going to be busy here, but you have buffers of time to get this in where it's not quite an emergency. August, September, you got 3 months here to, if you go to Facebook right now, I'm recording this on January 1st, 2020, go to Facebook whenever you see this in a few days and look back on some of the groups. You've got people that have waited too long. They've lost their crops. They didn't get their braces up. They've had troubles with their plastic. They've had to put plastic up on very windy days because that's the only day that they had to get this thing in. Give yourself enough time for business things to come up, for family events to come up, for emergencies. Maybe the weather sucks that day. Give yourself a buffer to be, hey, my people, if we're not going to put this up this Saturday, let's try Sunday. If everybody can do it next Thursday, whatever the case may be, give yourself plenty of time to not only complete the project and not cut any corners and do it right, but if you have a mess up, or if you, God forbid, you get a shipment lost or damaged, that you have enough time to get that shipment replaced. Man, I'm telling you, this year has been crazy dealing with shippers and freight companies like you wouldn't believe what we've had to deal with. Give yourself plenty of time, because Murphy's Law, you very well may be that person that needs to get a box replaced. There's a lot of stuff that happens once it leaves our front porch to get to your front porch. Make sure you have that buffer. You've got 12 months to get your plastic on for the next time. So don't be that cat that has to panic and then get upset that things aren't going your way because you didn't look at this calendar to plan. And I don't say that to just be snarky or anything like that. I'm very bad at procrastinating myself, but I just see it so much not to bring up the fact that here it is. Here's this crystal ball into what 2021 can look at or be about. Market sales are coming. generate that excitement. You know the heat's coming. Protect your crops, protect your plants. Make sure that shade's in. Allow for shipping times. November, December, those first frosts come always. I can't tell you when the first frost is going to be. That's not on the calendar. But November, December, typically is when these things happen. You've got plenty of time to get this in. Last little thing, I don't want to be an alarmist. I just want to be a realist. And I want you to, we don't sell seeds, obviously, but remember last year whenever seeds started being put on allocation in March. Remember when they started selling out late March, early April, people were panicked because they could not get their seeds. They had to get lower grade. They had to spend way more money, like on retail size packets. It was kind of a mess. By all indications from what we're hearing from our suppliers, and we talk to other suppliers as far as people that supply the industry, everybody is having to order more because metal is being put on allocation, raw plastic is being put on allocation. So we as equipment companies are not sometimes able to order as much as we would like to. So hey, if your business is predicated on you have to have this set of 10 trays over here on March, get them in January, because there's no way for us to tell what's going to happen between February and March. Again, I'm not an alarmist. I want to make sure that you're looking ahead and planning and getting ready for a lot of stuff that you cannot plan for. Things like the weather, things like sick days, things like these allocations, freight company mishaps. It happens. So let's be prepared in advance and do the very best you can. Enlist the help of your employees and of your family. Be real clear of what's coming up. That way, if they have to have days off, or if your employees' kids have an event or a soccer game or something like that, that you're working around their schedules too. Don't make your emergency everybody else's emergency. It's your responsibility as a business owner to take care of your business, your plants, and especially if you're trying to take care of animals, make sure that they're covered in the summer, make sure that they're protected from the elements in the winter, and just, hey, there it is, and I'll see you next time.